Our group is called The Full Catastrophe, and that's a literary reference from Zorba the Greek. And we have Jim Fownes on the piano, we have Laurie Indenbaum on the fiddle, and I'm Andy Davis on the accordion. We hope you enjoy some New England dance music. What have you got, Laurie?
Well, I was thinking that I would like to play, Castleton, Mist Over Tennessee, and Idlewild.
Oh, good. Okay, so we've got three nice tunes for you here. Doing well.
This is beautiful, thank
So you're actually doing the brown bag lunch
you. I wouldn't miss it.
experience?
If usually I'm
Right.
working.
Thank
So
you.
I was hoping we'd see you because maybe we can
Yeah.
finalize what,
Yeah.
if we're going to do some stuff for you
Yeah.
for the slow living summit. Anyway, those were 3 jigs. We're going to play something next. Jim, what do you want to play? We're just going around the band and everyone gets to pick something
There
they
we
feel
go.
like playing.
Very diplomatic.
Fully democratic.
Let's play a Valse Pompadour.
Ooh, the Valse Pompadour. This is a French-Canadian waltz.
Would like you to start it. Jim.
Okay. So we even have an intro here. Thank you.
Nice.
That was recorded by a Montreal accordionist in the 1920s. And he made a number of 78s that kind of went bonkers in Quebecois culture, and his name was Alfred Montmarquette, and he was one of the early superstars of the single row button accordion. And his music is nearly 100 years later is still in the repertoire of traditional musicians in Quebec, because he made these 78s and he played for weddings and parties and dances, and he was kind of an early trad music superstar. His name is still a household name amongst accordion players, especially in Quebec, Montmarquette. All right, so I get to pick something.
Yes, you do.
Let's play, we'll stay in the Quebecois mode here. And let's just do, the Fée de Dons and the Maison de Glace. The first tune is called The Tooth Fairy, the Fée de Dons, and the second one is called the Ice House, Maison de Glace. Okay, are we ready here? You want to give us some... Hello?
Oh my goodness, it's me again.
Pick something, Laurie.
Yeah. Jigs last time. And that was jigs.
Checking your watch to see if we have time to play a reel.
I think I want to play the Real Bijou. And the, what are we playing with that? We're playing Real Bijou and the Louis Baudouin.
Oh, good, okay.
Back to back. Celebrating your recent travels.
All right. That second tune was from a very famous fiddler here in Vermont, Louis Baudouin. And he was very influential in Vermont fiddling. And his family is still dancing and playing music in the Burlington area.
Really?
The Baudouin family, yeah. And that second tune was from his repertoire, and the first one,
Well, the first one
now that must be a long story.
thoroughly folk processed.
What's the story?
So I learned that tune from a fiddler in Denmark who was playing French-Canadian music. He learned it from somebody in French Canada, he couldn't remember who. or what it was called. So he called it something real Gougeot. And then I started to play it, and when I played it here, somebody said, well, what's the name? And I said, it's real Gougeot, but they heard bijou. And so now everybody around here calls it real bijou, which is totally not the name anyway. And it's published in a Don Messer book with the A part is the B part, and the B part is the A part, called Victory Breakdown or something, which is also entirely
This is why
fantasy.
many of the most popular tunes like that are simply called real in D. It solves many problems.
So now we call it real bijou, which is jewels.
Oh,
Yeah.
Real of the jewels, which is a perfect name
And
for
it's
it.
played around this area quite a lot.
And it's played around this area because I learned it from Jes Kroman in
Yeah,
Denmark,
exactly.
and
yay,
anyway.
thanks for bringing it.
Yeah.
So Jim, what have you got for a tune you want to play over there?
What is we play with on Over the Ice?
Oh, and over there, you mean that waltz?
No, no.
Oh, you mean Ice on the Pond?
Ice on the Pond, yes.
Ooh, that's that medley of 3 tunes.
Yeah.
We played, yeah. The
McDowell's,
McDowell's, Reel into
Ice
Ice on the Pond, and then we finish up with
Liberation.
Liberacion,
All right.
which was written by a friend of ours who lives in Westmoreland, New Hampshire.
Wow.
So,
So,
Have you written any?
yeah,
Are you going to play it?
we'll play something I've written here.
all right, well,
Let's not do it at breakneck speed, because
because what,
my hands still feel like I just pulled them out of a pond covered in ice.
did you?
Pretty cold out.
It's
No,
cold
I
out
didn't.
there.
Just, it's a cold day and my, so we're going to start in the key of G with McDowell's. All right. Can you give us a relaxed tempo there, Jim? name, but it was written by a friend of ours who lives in Westmont.
And is a composer, an actual composer of actually composed music.
What's his name again?
Larry Siegel, who's done some very big productions around here. He specializes in writing place-based operas that are based on oral histories. And then the libretto of the opera is entirely the actual words of the subject of the opera. His largest work is called Kaddish, and it's based on interviews with Holocaust survivors. And
Oh, did he do that?
it was
Yes.
produced at Keene State College and
Oh, I
all
met
around
him.
the world.
I met him.
And the text of the entire oratorio is words verbatim. It's called the Verbatim Project, as a matter of fact. So he sets people's real histories to music. He did one about Tony Barron that was performed here in Brattleboro called Perception. And it was about how Tony, who's a local folk singer, got into traditional music.
And then he also writes fiddle tunes, which is...
Yeah, and he plays for contra dances, so he's found where the big money is. Everyone eventually discovers the big money is playing for local dances.
That's right.
That's a joke, folks.
But it's so much fun. You can't put a price on it.
That's right. It's part of the local culture. So now I have to pick something. Goodness.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, each one of you, how old you were when you started playing and how you got interested in your instrument.
Jim?
I was 13 when I started playing piano.
Really?
When I was a kid, I was a weirdo because I liked classical music and Beethoven and all of that. And so in junior high and high school, I took normal piano lessons. And then it was really after college that I left written music behind and became a folk musician and learned to play by ear, which is a very different way of accessing music. I think at the end it all comes together. I mean, I think all music shares certain things, but
Interesting.
learning to do it without written music is a very different way of getting to that place.
From my experience, I found that parents provide their, including myself with my children, music lessons and all that, and by 13 they want to leave the piano and go to the guitar or something like that because it's cooler.
Like I
Well,
said,
they
I was a weirdo.
Well, I think what they
Good
want, and I think what kids at that age want, is they want music that connects them with their peers.
Exactly.
And with the local culture. But that's what we all want with music, is connecting to other people.
Right.
So it's the same urge
Right,
that's happening with just different styles.
right.
How did you get into this, Laurie?
So when I was in second grade, my friend Roberta signed up for violin lessons at Windsor Hills Elementary School in Los Angeles. And because she did it, I did it. I can't remember Roberta ever actually playing the violin, but I'm pretty sure she did, for a year maybe. And I just stuck with it, and then I stopped right about the time that you say my family moved to another school district, and I stopped playing. And then when I was in college, I went to Denmark for a year. And I started playing Danish fiddle tunes, which are the silliest, most fun tunes to play. So simple, so great. And so I came back for my senior year in college playing the fiddle.
Wow. And here you are.
And here I am, having, pretty much done it ever since, I guess.
Yeah. I was another kid in high school that was very interested in classical music. And I did weird things in high school, like I built a harpsichord from a kit, and I was really into Bach and Baroque music. And then I actually went to a conservatory, but I was quite miserable. So I dropped out after a year. I didn't learn a lot that year, but when I got back to the Washington, D.C. area, for some reason, I'd always loved traditional music too, because I grew up in Virginia with lots of fiddle and banjo music around and bluegrass festivals and stuff. And I started playing the banjo, and I started hanging out with these traditional musicians. And there was no music. Nobody ever pulled out scores or anything, but they played all night. And I started playing, and I was like, everyone was having fun. It wasn't like you have to be perfect or you have to, you know. So I got into playing the banjo, and then I moved to Vermont about 40 years ago and started playing piano for contra dances. And I've been having fun ever since. And, it's a social way to make music that's sort of meaningful to people and brings people together, and it's also part of a grand historical tradition here in New England, playing for dances at the local Grange Hall.
Well, it's a gift to be able to play freely a musical instrument. It's a true gift for life.
Well, I have to thank my mom for signing me up for piano lessons when I was like 7, you see. And I'm still know my scales from then, you see.
Finally, I have one son that's 37 and one son that's 41. And finally, they're thanking me for all the piano lessons that they have received.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So, do you have a waltz book there, Jim? Because
I do.
Orly asked me whether I'd written anything, and we could play the Franconia waltz.
That would be lovely.
Would be a good choice.
Which is a waltz I wrote when I was engaged to get married to my wife, Robin. And we were up near Franconia Notch. So this is called the Franconia Waltz.
Such a pretty tune. I want to play those silly French
That was
speaking
beautiful.
marches.
Thank you. That's kind of Robin's Waltz. That's the subtitle.
Very sweet. Andy, what was your inspiration for that song?
Robin.
Robin. I could have told you that.
Okay.
Hey, how are you?
Do you have my number?
I do.
Will you call me?
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
Thank you.
Yeah. Keep warm, man. It's cold out there.
Okay.
So these ones,
Ooh.
and then it's the, what are we calling that?
It goes into
March of St. Timothy is the second
G,
one,
and then back to D for the...
yeah.
Got it.
So these are three sort of marchy tunes from, one from Quebec, one from Michigan, and one from Quebec. It's kind of a Michigan sandwich. You want to give us three there? So you picked those.
I did pick those.
That means
I
it's
will
back to you,
always
Jim.
pick those.
Let's play the Cowboy's Jig, the Rogue Squash, and the Stool of Repentance.
So this is quite an assortment. The first one is a very old American tune found in one of the most famous collections. It was called, for many years, Cole's Thousand Fiddle Tunes, until someone did some research and found that Cole had stolen it from, what's it called now? Ryan. Cole had stolen it from Ryan. So Mel Bay has now republished it, and they call it Ryan's Mammoth Collection of jigs, reels, hornpipes, etc. But the Cowboy Jig is in there. And then the second
It's actually an
tune,
Irish tune.
yeah, and then the
There's
second,
cows in Ireland too.
yeah. They've got boys there too. But then my son wrote this tune called the Rogue Squash. We never found out what the story was behind that squash that misbehaved, apparently.
It's one that came out of the compost pile.
Yeah, it must, yeah, the Rogue
Maybe
Squash.
that's what it should be called, one that came.
And then the last tune there, the Stool of Repentance. You probably guessed what that title is, a Scottish tune. I used to call it the timeout chair, the Stool of Repentance.
And now there you are. Sitting right. It's time for new strings. No matter what I do.
All right, so Stool of Repentance is
So on.
good. Okay,
Posted
the Cowboy.
the heifer right. Posted.
Marathon.
Well, you see, you get used to playing for dances for playing a long time. You build up your chops because they may need music for 12 or 15 times through the dance, depending on the size of the hall and the size of the crowd. And so you develop medleys, so you're not playing one
Right.
tune, and you try to make them as interesting for you as for the dancers. Thanks for dropping by.
Beautiful, thank you.
Nice to see you.
So, whose turn is it now? Mine. Yikes. Let's play. Ooh, I know what we should play. What did we put with that homage, you know, the...
Gaston Relay? Oh, Edwin Parizeau.
So it's African,
Yeah,
Madawa, and Parizeau.
A lot of
Okay, so...
So if we don't start as fast as we can play,
Yeah, we're going to play relaxed tempo.
maybe we can end up
Relaxed noontime tempo.
at a tempo.
So
we
these
can-
are three tunes also from Quebec. The first one is called Real Africain. There must be a story behind that. It was written by a guitar player. And he recorded it very sweetly on an album in the key of B flat, which we don't play it in, but it's called the African Reel. And then we're going to go into a tune called Madawa, which I think is a place name in Quebec.
I think it is,
Madawa, written by Richard Forêt. And then we're going to finish up with a tune called Hommage à Edmond Parizeau, who was a fiddler, and this tune is in honor of him. So, a nice relaxed tempo here.
music and having this
Yeah, that's-
amazing show from the Brattleboro Historical Society that's been
Great
here for a
stuff.
whole month. You just look at that and get lost in the music and and looking at the pictures, it's like going back in time.
Well,
It's
it
just
is.
so wonderful.
And yet, here we are in
Yes.
2019.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Dudley Laufman, who's now in his 80s,
Well into his 80s, I think.
well into them, who's one of the like living legends of contra dance calling, he told me he used to come to Brattleboro and call dances where the Agape Fellowship Church is, and that was the Grange Hall.
Really?
That was the Brattleboro Grange Hall. And if you look, the church-shaped windows are only on the front.
Ah.
Look on the other three sides, they're rounded, non-sacred shaped windows.
Ah.
So the church,
Changed.
the front,
Yeah.
to make it look more like,
Yeah.
more church-like, but that
Right.
was apparently the Grange Hall. So
Interesting.
it was a big dance, a place for dances.
Wow.
So,
Well, thank you. Thank you. This was great.
so, you want to pick something to wrap up with?
Well, I thought a waltz.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yes.
thought maybe
Yeah.
Florence Killen's waltz.
Okay.
So Florence Killen's waltz is a waltz that was written by a man named Clifford Manley, who was a fiddler for Florence Killen, who was his backup pianist. She also wrote some music, though, which I've been sort of trying to dig up a little bit. Anyway, they were apparently great friends.
If you get a song written for you, it's nice if it's from a friend.
Well, you could go ahead and
I'll
start.
just go ahead and start.
You start, because I actually have the music for that.
Oh, good. Yeah, put her in the back.
All right.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Really,
very good.
seriously, this is such a treat to be sitting.
We're scheduled to do this next month.
Oh, when?
It's like Groundhog Day. Today is the 27th.
Great.
We're doing it again on the 27th
Oh, that's so funny.
because March and February have the same numbers.
Numbers.
We're just doing February again, only more of it.
Actually, from the weather report, it sounds like that's exactly what we're doing.
Yes. Thank you to BCTV for coming and
Yeah.
filming.
Yes.
So if you're paying attention and you're watching your film, come down on March 27th
What
to
day
the
of the
Brown Bag. It's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday for the Brown Bag
Oh,
Lunch
I'll be
Series.
here.
12 to 1.
And thank you to the Strolling of the Heifers for providing this opportunity for local people to come do their stuff in public.
You guys are awesome.
Share on Facebook. Share us on Facebook.
So I have a little info which I would like to share with you about a project.
What is this?
So this is a project my friend Jill came up with to document, she hopes, a fiddle player in every town in Vermont.
That's great.
This year.
Saw that. Did you get someone from January and February?
Are you gonna do it at the Stroll?
What's that?
Well, if somebody sends us stuff, like
What?
so what we need is
Right, like visiting every town in Vermont.
all over Vermont to send us
Are there 201
a document.
towns?
Document
Something like that.
What are you going to do?
That's what they love to read. Celebrate Vermont's great fiddling, a document, a fiddler playing in
Now
every
there's
Vermont
parts of
town.
Vermont. A couple years ago, Robert and I went up to the
So there's
islands, you know, and that was a
Create a website.